Welcome to Reseller Recap, where we talk all things reselling across multiple platforms. Join us for real-life discussions on how we crush the elusive work-life balance. Grab a coffee and join us now.
Hey guys, welcome back to Reseller Recap. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the crazy things we've had returned to us, thanks customers, and also the wonderful emails we've gotten from said customers. So Morgan, why don't you start us off with either one? What do you got for us today?
My craziest return has by far been my nastiest return, and Emily hates when I tell this story. I sold a Manscaped razor. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. And somebody returned it and said it was defective. So I'm like, it was literally like in the protective plastic from the store. I got it from Target. So
Okay.
I'm like, really? Like defective? Okay. So it comes back. Boom, open the box. The thing is, like, the box still is intact. So I'm like, okay. So I open it, and when I open it, they just threw everything in the box, and the razor falls out. And I'm like, oh, let me just grab it. And I go and pick it up, and there were man hairs on the razor, and it was so. I still get like,
And she touched it.
Disgusting. And I touched it, and it didn't even like register to me at first that that's what it was, because I have black hair. So I was like, at first I was like, oh, it's probably, and I was like, oh, like, I saw it, and I was like, I was like screaming. I was on the phone with my husband. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, yeah. So I washed my hands with lots of soap and lots of water and lots of bleach. And then I submitted to Amazon that it was like used.
Yeah.
And it wasn't defective. And they gave me back like, I think it was like 15%. And I was like, this is really used. Like, I sent them the little slip, the shipping label, like everything. And they didn't give me my full money back, which was...
That's surprising, because that's full on used. Come on.
Yeah. And I was like, I even replied back. I was like, do you know what this is?
Yeah.
And I touched it. Like, I think I need some compensation for emotional distress, because...
So personal care, I guess, is returnable then on Amazon? Like, that didn't fall in the no, because they're usually, like, their policy at least, you know, they can't return a lot of stuff, but...
It's supposed to be that you can't, but... But you know what? I've had a couple things come back, like in the grocery category, that's also supposed to be that it can't. And somehow I think if they just complain enough, not only do they get the money back.
They opened it as defective, then...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's probably how.
Okay.
Yep. So, and if you haven't figured it out, they traded their old razor for the new one. So it was literally like, it wasn't even the one that I sent. It was, so they had just came out with the Manscaped 3. And so this was the 2. They gave me the 1. And they put it in the box with the 2. And I was like, love that for me.
I love that. Yeah, customers will do that. Like, they'll keep the new one. I hear that especially with people that sell like vacuums. Have you heard that ever?
Really?
Like, yes, people will keep the new one and put their old vacuum in there because they want the newest model. Like that, I've heard that is one of the worst categories for like returned wrong items, because they think they can get a workaround because it's the same brand. So yeah, people have a hard time fighting and saying like, no, this is not the right model. And they're like, well, you didn't send them the right model. So I've heard people have a really hard time with getting those claims paid out.
Yep. I've seen and heard that happening too.
Yeah. Emily, what about you? Some weird stuff.
You know, nothing should and could be as crazy as Morgan's story, but I don't know, just the normal. I think during pool season, we were just talking about all the pools and stuff. I would get pools that were definitely used. You know, somebody had fun with this slip and slide, for the summer and then sends it back. And it was like wet, you know, and you're like, well, I sold a lot of pool covers that came back, and I mean, they were just like pool covers. There's nothing really that could go wrong with them, but they used it and then returned it. My first weird return on Walmart, and God bless all these old people who shop on Walmart, but they bought peanut clusters from me.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like an old person candy. I like it. But, they sent it back and it was rubber band closed. And it was like a handwritten note, and it was like, we didn't really enjoy the flavor of this, but thanks anyways. It was like, perfect.
What am I supposed to do with this? Like,
but it was
I
like
had somebody. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's just like your grandparents who opened something and were like, oh, let's just send this back and write a little note saying sorry.
It's fine. You just reminded me, I just had somebody, I was selling this Dove deodorant and it was like a limited edition scent or whatever. Somebody used it and returned it, and they put a little note in there and they were like, yeah, I didn't like the scent. Sorry. And Walmart returned it. They returned it to the store. It was in a Ziploc bag, wrapped up.
Wow.
Yeah. And Walmart returned it. And I was not like thinking, and I didn't take a picture of the label on the box. And so when I went to submit the case, they were like, oh, we need the shipping label. And I was like, I don't have the shipping label. Sorry, I wasn't keeping the box for used deodorant. And they didn't care. So I didn't get my money back.
Yeah, if you guys don't know that, if you want to try to submit either on Walmart or Amazon and try to get some of your money back, so either disputing a return on Walmart or filing a safety claim on Amazon, you need pictures of the packaging as well as what the item was and the condition it was returned in. So make sure you take a picture of the label before you go and like, I like make sure I never open the package slicing open the label. Like I'll open, if it's a box, like the bottom of the box. So I don't destroy the label, because they have to, especially Walmart has to be able to read their like RMA number. The only stinky thing is like sometimes the label gets damaged and then like FedEx might print a label to go over it and it's not really legible. It gets back to me, but it doesn't have all the information. And if something's wrong with the label, Walmart's like, too bad, so sad. And I'm like, well, I have nothing to do with this. You sent it to me like this. So I've had a couple times that then they won't even look at it, that my dispute, because the label's ineligible. So
what's your previous return?
Well, probably, so I was selling like canning lids, and I had someone return the canning jars. So like I'm getting the package from the post office and you can just hear all the broken glass and like pieces of shattered glass are like falling out of the box. And I was concerned like maybe they put the lids in with the box. So I was like, I've got to open it to see if what I even sent was in there. So then like trying to put it on like a trash bag and not cut myself opening this box with literally like 12 glass canning jars, you know, just shattered all in there. And then fighting with Walmart saying like this was not even what they ordered, it from a different seller, I guess, but I didn't get my product back. And then looking to see how much I was charged for return shipping for that. It was like $25 they charged me to return this glass that was not even mine, all in the box, not protected, shattered. And I like never got, that was probably the most annoying return I got back, because I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? You know, like, and then I just trying to not cut myself on all this broken glass. I was like, some of these things, like, they just should not allow to come back. Or if they're sending it back, like, why would you send that unpackaged back? You know, like, where's the original packaging? Like, require the original packaging. You know, that's not coming back to me whole.
Right.
It's crazy.
There should definitely be some differentials between what Walmart will accept and refund and what, you know, they put on their third party sellers. Like, if you want to accept a pan that's been baked in, great. But we shouldn't have to accept that.
Well, and it's weird. They had a thing, because I've found articles from like 2021-ish where you can say like, no, these things can't be returned or return exemptions and stuff, but that's not their policy anymore. But that article still lives out there. So a lot of new sellers will be like, well, I saw this policy though, like why did this change? And they're not really giving any reasons why, like unfortunately, like why it changed and stuff. So
I think that was their COVID policy because during COVID, if you tried to return stuff to Walmart, there were certain things that they refused to take back. Then there were certain things that they would refund to you, but you could keep it. Like they didn't want their employees like touching it, nothing. So maybe it was part of that. I don't know. Walmart is. We should have a segment where we like show the box and be like, "What was returned in this?" Because Walmart is notorious.
I have a stack of boxes over here. Brandon keeps like, "When are you going to open those up?" It's like, what's the point?
Yeah,
I have some too. And then you get the box that's like this big for like a pair of scissors.
I'll show you a box I have over here, and I'm like, I don't sell anything on Walmart that would fit, that would require
in that box.
This
size box. Yeah.
They killed me with that, and then you probably paid $20
for every order. They make the boxes, so why are you getting such a big box?
I have to show you the box.
Okay.
You are literally probably paid $20 for that return, and it could have came back in a poly bag. But then the stuff that they send in a poly.
Wow.
Bruh.
Emily, open that. What is in there? What's in the box?
You thought I was joking.
That is ridiculous. You guys, if you're not watching the video, this box is literally the size of a house. Like
it's so big.
It's bigger than Emily.
It's like half of her. Yeah. In today's segment of what's in the box.
If there ends up being a pair of scissors or something in there,
it's gonna be like shoes or something. It's a lot of whatever it is.
So okay, look at the bubble in this.
Oh, wow, that was just a bubble wrap.
Materials for a year. You have free packing materials for a year.
They probably like ran out of boxes of poly bags.
Okay, are you just ready for this box? And I'm gonna measure it.
Stop.
Come on. That's so ridiculous.
It's a baby inflatable float. What is that? Float? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
That you could run all those bubbles through your house. Like that's ridiculous.
And what's like 2 pounds? So
is that even opened and used, or is it brand new?
I think it's probably new.
It doesn't look,
That doesn't even look like it's been opened.
No.
That is ridiculous.
I got that. Brandon's like, well, did you have a shipment sent back? And I was like, I don't think so.
That's crazy.
I'd like to know how much you paid to get that sent back.
I know.
That box is ginormous.
I'm going to measure it because it's really huge. The video doesn't do it justice.
That's like, that's the size of Emily. That's insane.
It's crazy. And then it has this little thing in it. It's difficult.
There's one thing in there.
It's difficult to find how much you're being charged on those. Like they changed the seller center layout and finding the reports that show you how much did they charge me. Like that stuff got really difficult overnight to find out.
It's under I just looked yesterday. It was like under transactions. So you have to find the order number. Like, so once you're in returns,
I don't even want to know.
Then you have to pull up the transaction number or PO number. And then you go under there and you'll see like the original sale and like what the commission was. And then you'll see the return shipping charge from there. So, cause I have an item I'm like fighting them on right now, return that was a WFS shipment and they're, or return. And they were saying they returned it. So I'm like, well, did you return it to my inventory at WFS or did you return it to me, but I'm getting charged for return shipping, but it hasn't come to me. And they're claiming I have to wait 90 days before opening a dispute, but their dispute system only lets you have 45 days before they close it and you can't open a dispute.
Right.
So I'm watching this because it says I'm going to have to open a case. Like I can't even dispute it, but they're saying I have to reference this old case now. So I'm going to have to deal with that next week. I'm trying to give it one more week before it's like the 45 days, but it's a big item.
But I don't see, I'm like looking at it. I don't see how much they charge me. I see it now, but I don't see how much Walmart charged me to get that back.
They don't, it's not under that transaction. Like that specific return number?
I think it's under
we don't need to figure it out.
Returns or adjustments now.
We'll
but
yeah,
we'll come back to it.
We're gonna find
let you guys know.
But isn't that crazy? Like I the amount of money, this is what I'm saying is it's hard to do it all in this business. It's hard to like, I need to get shipments out today. And I have to like take time to be like one item in this freaking box and figure out how much and get it set back. Like I'll send that back in, but
yeah. Well, I like to say, I told you I like to make a pile and then like once a week I take the time to go through because most of them I can just put back into my inventory and sell, you know, or if it's damaged, like I can put it up on eBay or, you know, like most of the time I can figure something out to do with them, but I want to get at least some of my money back on some of these. Yeah. Like that's why I appreciate Amazon not allowing grocery to come back because Walmart will. Like the amount of half-eaten grocery items, like you said, like I don't really like the flavor, but there's literally no pieces left in the bag. Like the bag came back empty, like multiple times. I'm like, well, or I got a guy on Amazon right now. He's saying that his crunchy hard candy's too hard. It's too hard. I'm like, sir, it's hard candy. Like it's gonna be hard. I don't know.
Last Valentine's, I got a Valentine box back and a mouse went through that box.
Oh.
And they just returned it as like not as described or something, but it was clearly torn apart by a rodent.
Cool.
Ew.
Unbelievable.
How do people sleep at night?
I don't know. People just like, who do you think's paying for this? I don't know. You know? Like I'm not a person that takes a lot back to the store. Like it takes a lot for me to take something back to the store now.
Oh, I never do because I'm too lazy. I don't return anything.
Anyway,
like if I buy something, I'm like, I'll find somebody who can use it before I actually take it back.
Have to take it back. Yeah.
I make piles and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to return this. And then they just sit there for like 3 months. And then I'm like, I'm throwing this away.
And then you have the other side that's like no shame. And they're like, hey, I wore this underwear and I'm bringing, I didn't really
like it.
Yeah.
Like, how can you live with yourself?
Oh, I sent Emily this TikTok the other day. So there's like a reseller who went and bought a grocery cart full of like I'm talking like piles of stuff. And I guess they were like telling people like, oh, buy this stuff. You can flip it on whatever platform. I don't know which one. And so then the next day somebody came back and somebody was at the store and they were like, what is all this stuff? And they were like, oh, well, this person bought all this stuff and was telling people to buy it and then returned it.
Oh.
And it was like, they ended up breaking it into 2 carts. It was 2 full carts of clothes.
Why did they even buy it then? Because I feel like some of them are just like saying they're buying it, they're putting it in their cart, and then they're just like, I've seen them walk away from their cart. You know, like they put it in like they're buying it for board, and then they just like walk away, leave their cart by the door. Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad too, though, because then they still have to put it back. I at least will try to put like if I change my mind on something, I'll at least try to put it back like where I got it from. Or a lot of the time the cashier will be like, "Oh, don't worry about it," but I'm like, "No, I'll like put it back."
I know. I'll go
but yeah, I was like. Oh my gosh. And people, you know, they love us resellers. We're tearing resellers apart in the comments. And I'm like, oh, this is one I'll be quiet about.
Well, and
because he was wrong.
That's why people don't like, because there's people like that are ruining, but it's always like one bad apple, you know, like for everybody. And it's hard because, I mean, there's bad in everything. But can we talk about customer emails? Like, I want to hear. I feel like some people think that I'm their therapist and their personal shopper. And like you guys feel like that sometimes with the way, or I love the people that actually have not bought anything from me, but just have to tell me what they think about the item I'm selling or the price I have
The
it
price. At. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Jen, I feel like you get the worst out of all of us.
I know. I don't know why.
In regard to customer messages. Like, Jen will be like, this person said, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
I know.
Yeah, I know. That's great. And I think the worst are the people who are not customers. Who are like, we just want you to know you're a terrible person for charging $12.99 for the item that's available at Walmart for $1.99. Like, let's use your brain cells, put it all together. Do you think I bought it at Walmart's price? Do you think anybody is buying this product at Walmart's price? And I'm shipping it. Like,
it cost me money well, that's why I started replying when they complain about the cost. I have that like generic or that template now response that says like, you are welcome to go to the store, see if it's at your store. If not, go to the next store, buy it, pay for the gas, get in line. Like, you go ahead, go return it. Like, because
Jen's auto responses are so sassy.
I will sass you back. Like, you start with me and I will finish it. I was raised by that generation.
Oh my
Don't mess with this elder millennial.
I found something else in the box.
Oh, is it one shoe?
They duct taped shoes together.
Bruh.
Oh. At least there was more than one item.
Didn't those come in a box?
Yeah. They duct tape those puppies together.
Ew. Do you ever
also not, that still doesn't warrant the box size though.
I know. Do you ever buy separate shoe boxes to put the shoes in? Or you
No, those were sold in a box.
Okay.
So
I don't. Because back in the day on Amazon, I also dibbled and dabbled in shoes, and people think that you are selling counterfeit shoes when you ship stuff in like the plain brown boxes instead of like Nike or like whatever brand it is. So it's like a really big red flag because people were doing that. They would buy shoes from like Ross or TJ Maxx, like the Nike shoes or Adidas or whatever, and then put them in the brown box. And most people know that Nike and Adidas shoes don't come like that. Mm-hmm. So it causes people to look at your account and possibly flag it.
But I thought some of the outlets, like, they take them out of the boxes. So, like, if you were trying to source the outlets, right? Like, you're not going to get them in a box. So how are you going to ship them to people? Like,
you can't. No. So the general rule, at least on Amazon, is like, if it's shoes that don't come in a box, so like flip-flops or like slides, like stuff like that, you don't have to ship it in a box. But if it's shoes that like normally otherwise would come in a box, this part is not written, but this is like, I feel like the untold rule is that you shouldn't sell it unless you have the original box. Because like Marshalls, the other thing about them too, they started cutting the tops off of the boxes. So when they started doing that, then people just don't sell them because it's obvious when somebody cuts the top off of a box. Like, you know, the ones that have the flippy lid or whatever. Yeah. So they started doing that after COVID. And some people think it was to deter resellers. Some people, I don't know. People have their whole like conspiracy about why they did it, but they do. So yeah, Walmart, most Walmart shoes don't come in a box, but then you have like those random, I forget the brand, like Chaps and like Madden NYC. Sometimes they will, and then even sometimes they don't. So but I kind of follow for almost everything in regard to prep and pack. I kind of follow Amazon's rules, even if Walmart doesn't have it set in stone. Yeah. So like, if it's supposed to be in a box, it should be in a box. If there is no box, then you can't sell it unless you want to put it on eBay. But yeah.
And if you have been following us a while, you probably hear us talk about finding products from Ross and TJ Maxx, and you can find plenty of products there you can sell on eBay. But we, our team, do not sell that product on Amazon and Walmart because you can get your account in hot water. And I'm interested what your returns have been like on Walmart and Amazon. What's your craziest return? What are the craziest responses from emails you guys get from customers? How do you handle those responses? Do you respond to every email that comes in, all the complaints from potential customers. Yeah. I'm interested what your guys' take on this. Are you okay with buying products from Ross? It certainly is advertised on social media that this is valid, but the problem is if you have an issue, IP claim, you don't have proof from the source of where this product is coming from, and you can get your account suspended.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Amazon, I feel like, is really starting to dial that up. I mean, they really have just recently rolled out a lot of people are getting gated and IP'd over there, and it's still they're kind of figuring it out, so people might be getting away with it for a little bit over on Walmart, but I would not play with that on Amazon at all. I just feel like that's they are happy to suspend. They're suspend happy over there, even if you have health insurance, because I had that even last year when that Section 3, everybody got hit with Section 3s for all the weird stuff, which it was because of them. They, something they forced everybody's account to do a while back. So it was because of them, not me, but I still had to fight with them for weeks figuring that whole situation out. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
I try to respond to customers in the most generic, helpful way possible. And if you're in the community, you've heard me say this before, but like if a customer knows they have a human on the line, they end up going off in some direction, asking all the questions, or it gets emotional. So ChatGPT is a lot of times your friends and make it sound like it's computer automated response.
Yeah.
And then, I want to be helpful, but I don't want them to feel like this is now a conversation. But we've talked a little bit recently about selling during COVID era, and that was such a cluster. I got hateful messages all day, every day. Yeah. And so at that point I was like, okay, I need to sound like a robot. So people stop saying these terrible things to me.
Yeah. Well, I noticed too, like that's why I said I have kind of generic responses for a couple things, especially on Amazon. If it's like people get upset when they realize that they could have just gone to the store and get it sometimes, like especially grocery category. And so they'll just be like, I don't want this product, or I found it cheaper. I want to be able to return this, but I can't return it. And so I'll ask them and be like, okay, can you send us pictures of the packaging and the product so that we can investigate this further? Because a lot of them will be like, it's damaged. Because if they say it's damaged, they think that you're just going to refund them and go on, their merry way, because people are scared of having bad reviews. But by asking just clearly like, hey, can you send us pictures so we can investigate? I wipe out about 95% of the people that are just wanting it for free, because they've already ate it. They've already thrown away the packaging. And so they just were really hoping that they could just get their money back and have gotten something for free. Because there is just a lot of fraud. It's dialed up recently. Even on Amazon, because Walmart was just really bad for a while, and then now Amazon. But yeah, like I've had maybe one or two that they'll take the time and they've sent pictures, and if it really is damaged, fine, I refund them, and that's fine. So, and some people, they're gonna just leave a bad review, no matter I can just tell their tone. I'm like, when they're just coming in hot from the get-go, I'm like, no, I can refund them, and they're still gonna leave a bad review, and at least I don't actually owe them a refund. So if they're gonna just complain because they didn't check their mailbox they went out of town for 2 weeks and they ordered chocolate and it melted and it was June, not my problem, like, sorry, like I'm not.
And again, like when you merchant fulfill, you are responsible for dealing with customers. Yeah. And you really hear it all. And it's not the easy button sending it FBA and WFS, because they will just refund for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're pretty much on the sideline, and then you get your product back like you're seeing here. Just in a big giant ass box with one little thing. But you're dealing with the customer, and a lot of customers know the loopholes.
Yeah.
Like if I say I don't want it anymore, well, it's cheaper for the customer to keep the product in most cases. But then you have us like, wait a minute, if you're trying to loophole, we want our product back so we can open a case and all the things. Yeah. But there are a lot of loopholes. We shouldn't say this, I guess, out here, but so you have to deal with it. You have to, address the issues as they happen.
Yeah.
Whenever people send me nasty messages, I send it to Jen. And Jen's like,
My favorite was that guy that kept like trying to ream into me, and then at the end of it, he was like, "God bless." Remember that? And he messaged me like, like 8 times, and I was like, "Sir, you just like ripped me a new one." And then at the end, as long as you say "God bless," like everything's great in the world. And so be horrible, but God bless. You know,
God bless. So it's so funny because my husband and I share a book listening subscription service, and so what he listens to and what I listen to are all together. My books are like the most ridiculous shifter love stories. If you know, you know, like these trilogies that are romantic, out of control, and the guy is naked on the cover. His last book he read is The Courage to Be Disliked. And so I can see he's reading this book and he's like, it's changing my life. And I was like, bro, you just need to be a seller or be a creator, content creator, because The Courage to Be Disliked, like I could write that book.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can do a 5-minute TED talk on that. You didn't have to read the whole book.
You didn't have to read the book to get that.
And I was like, what did you take away? And he's like, just like you can't make everybody happy. And I was like,
duh.
A whole book, bro. What?
It's a whole book about that.
Wow.
Oh man. That's funny.
I love it. All right, cool. You guys have anything to add? Or was that
no?
Good?
Literally, I think that's our crazy ones.
Literally, this is my SOS. They're keeping me hostage here to record these podcasts. So please help me.
People love us and they need us. We're doing this. Like, just enjoy the ride, Emily.
All right, until next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.